All right, so hey everybody, it's Tuesday, February 8th. This is Draftbit office hours. I am Dave, and with me is Rahul, our lead success engineer, and we're gonna answer some questions and talk to you about stuff. So if you guys have any questions, put them in the ask a question section below, and we will get to them. Looks like we've got some familiar faces. I see Steve and Julian and Brett. Mohan, so how is everybody doing today? Awesome. You guys have any questions or anything else going on that you want to talk about? You guys stuck anywhere?
Yeah, we have Dave today with us, so this is your chance to ask as many questions as you can.
Yeah. Uh,
Uh,
we cannot hear you, no. But if you have a question, you can type it in the ask a question section. Okay,
so,
go ahead, Rahul.
guys, I think whoever is new here, yeah, there we go. So we have an ask a question section. You can see it on the bottom left, on the bottom right. Just click there, and you can ask your questions there, how Steve just did. So we guys can, keep a tap on it and then show you the responses at the end of office hours. So that would be great. And if you have any your app specific questions as well, feel free to post those as well. And if you're comfortable with sharing your app live on the screen, we can try and debug them here as well.
Okay, so Steve says, I need to make some custom logic to redirect signed in users. I think George and Carl may have looked at it a few weeks back, but thought it worth asking. So yeah, we can talk about that. Rahul, do you want to take the lead on that question?
Yeah, sure. So basically, Steve, like what we need to do is have an inline hook on your login screen, and I'll share the code with you. It's a little bit app specific because you would want to send them. Sorry, I'm trying to read what he's writing now. Essentially, at the moment, if you restart your device. Right. Thanks, Steve, for letting everyone else here know about your question. Um, right. So no, that's a good idea. Like we want others to know this question as well. So basically, when Steve logs into his app, even if it's signed in or not, he gets to the login page, and he wants to have a custom like he wants to have a workflow in which if a user is already signed in, they should be redirected to the home page rather than the login page. I hope that makes things clear for everyone. And it's a quite a common use case, Steve. We have lots of users who've been following this. Um, so what I'll do here is I'm just going to find that piece of code for you. It's just 2 lines that you need, and you need to add that in your inline hook, and you would be good to go. So just give me a minute here. Brett, I think you would have to come, we would have to invite you on the stream for you to talk. And if you want to do that, I think we are comfortable with that as well.
So basically, what you want to do is when I think you're using Xano, Steve. So whenever you get your auth token back, I mean, this is pretty much applicable to any setup, but whenever you get your auth token back, you want to store that right on the device. So a global variable is what you would use right now. And then you want to have a hook set up so that on that first page that loads, in your app, you're checking to see, do I have an auth token for this user? And if they have the auth token, that tells you that they are already authenticated with the app. And so you want to redirect them from that landing page to your home page if they have that auth token. I think I have an app set up where I can show that, Rahul, if you don't have something.
Yeah, sure, please. I was
Let
actually
me,
looking at, I was trying to find it, but if you don't, yeah, please,
let
that'd
me
be
see
great.
if I can pull it up. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, it's not letting me pull it up.
Uh, it's not letting you share your screen.
No.
No worries. What I'll do is, if you can just message the
Yep. Hold on.
URL, I'll
Yep.
open it for you. So this is another app that I wanted to demonstrate, but we can do that a little bit later. First, we'll get to Steve's question and answer that.
I dropped that link in the chat, Rahul.
Oh, thanks. Think this would work. Yeah, there we go. So, um, Dave, do you want to go over this or should I explain it?
Sure. Well, first of all, I mean, it's got a global variable set up for device token. It's been a long time since I've looked at this app, to be honest, so we might have to look around a little bit, but um, you see the device token, so that's where the auth token gets stored. And
Okay.
then for the home, the login page is the default page for the app. So when you open the app, it defaults to login, and then there should be some functions on this
Mhm.
that check for. Yep, it's really hard to see your screen though, to tell you the truth.
Here, let me try and is that better?
It's better. It's a little the quality. Yeah, that's a little better.
Yeah, the problem is I have a wide monitor, so it kind of becomes
Yeah,
difficult for people on laptops.
that's okay.
Uh,
But basically, you can see right here if we have a variable named device token and the variable is set, then all we do is we navigate to. Well, I have this set up with an auth stack and an app stack. So the login page is in the auth stack and the home page or home screen is in the app stack. So all I'm doing is um, whenever the user lands on the login page, we're checking to see, do they have that token? If they have the token, then we're just bypassing that login page and sending them over to the home page. And if they don't, then they'll have to log in. So Steve,
right, basically.
we can provide this code snippet for you. I can drop it in the chat now, or Rahul can do it, or whatever, or we can put it in community.
Yep. So I think it'll be good that we can do this in the community, Steve. So if anyone else is looking for this code, they can just get it from there as well.
Mhm.
We'll add it to your response on your community question. And basically here, just one more thing that I would like to add, if people are noticing what Dave is doing here very cleverly, is he is not navigating, he is resetting it so the user cannot actually go back to the
Good
login
point.
screen.
Good point. Yeah, if you use navigation navigate, it will add the screen to the top of your stack, which means if you've got screens before it and the user tries to go back, well, then they'll land back on that login page or whatever. So the reset will reset your whole navigator and make whatever you send it to like the first screen. So they won't be able to go back to login after they're redirected.
That's right. I'm just showing the users how the navigation has been set up here, just in case they wanted to show it. So basically, you can either navigate to a stack or a screen as well. So that's totally your choice. And um, I don't know if I can actually showcase this because I would have to sign up and do other things. So, and I can't really see the chat when I'm sharing the screen. Uh,
Yeah, it's I'd have to like spin up that Laravel. I was using a local version of Laravel, so I'd have to like have my local server set up to connect to it and all that. So no, you can't do that right now.
oh, okay, no worries. Uh, so I think that answers Steve's question. And since I have my screen shared here, do you mind if I go over the small tutorial that I had about another user's question on the community about refreshing the fetch, and maybe
I
then
I don't mind.
we, and
We've got
maybe
we've got a
then
couple other
Dave,
questions.
right? So let's tackle the live ones first, then, and then if we have time, we can come back to that one, right?
Yep.
Uh, okay.
So okay, so I think that's Mohan, Waste Watcher ZW Society. Global variables setting, I believe, is async. It looks like there is a call on load of screen where variables is not defined, which causes crash. Is this something you've been working with him on, Rahul? Okay.
Yes, I have few points here. So Mohan, your case here is right, but there's slight confusion here that I don't know if I would be able to address live for everyone. But what usually happens is, uh, I believe you're using on data to set a global variable. And so when you do that, initially when this, so there are basically going to be two screen loads, right? Once when your screen loads, and second would be the on data call. So when the screen loads, fetch doesn't really have data present, right? So when fetch fetches the data is when the on data trigger gets triggered. So maybe that's the reason it's causing variables to be not defined when the screen first actually loads. There are ways to, like, how would I say, like try to have like a piece of logic in your custom function where if those uh, variables are not defined, don't do anything. And once those variables have some values, only then proceed with your function. So that way your app won't crash. Not sure if that made sense to you, but if you have any follow-up questions, you can leave them in the chat as well. So I'll try to explain it a little bit better than what I did.
Okay, you want to move to the next question?
Yep.
Okay. So Mohan, again, related to off topic, if server side picks up a verification status change, how can we set up an event to detect that? I guess he's talking about if a user logs out or if like how do you know in the app or I'm not sure. Can you clarify that question a little bit? Email verification.
Okay,
Hmm.
so what I understand with this is basically you would send an email to a user who would click on the verification link, and the verification link would do something in your backend, say do verification true, and then you want to pick that change on your front end.
Seems like you would have to like query again your database to check and see has that person verified their email, and then if they have, allow them to continue on with whatever you want them to do. Like if you're not allowing them to progress to the home screen until they verify, well then check before you get there to see are they verified, and if they are, let them progress, and if not, display a message that says, hey, you need to verify your email address first. You could use like a hook. Basically, I think you could do it similar to the way we showed with the auth token. I mean, but instead of checking for the auth token, you would try to make a call, right? Rahul, what are you thinking?
Yeah, basically, so this is a different case than what React Query handles, right? So if you were making a change in your app and that we had to pick up, React Query does that. But in this case, something external is changing your backend, and your backend has no way of telling us that we changed at the moment. So the best way to do this would be you would have to keep hitting your backend in specific intervals to setting up an inbound webhook doesn't really solve this use case because I did some investigation about it, Mohan, and that wouldn't really work. Like you can make a external webhook, like you can call an external webhook from your Draftbit app, but setting up an internal like a webhook inside the Draftbit app might not be, or maybe it is possible. I don't have that information at me at the moment. But what you would do in this case would be a very simple thing to do here would be once the user verifies their email, you can ask the user to click a button on your app, said that I have verified my email. And then on that button click, you can just check your backend if the user is lying or not. If the user is not lying, they're good and they can go proceed further in your app. Otherwise, you can just keep them on that page until you get uh, a response from your backend which you want. I think that would be the simplest way to do this.
Yep, I agree.
And a lot of people do that with pins, right? So like you have a pin code, like an OTP that your app sends, and you enter that OTP. So that's basically that use case right there.
So Mohan, does that help you? You feel like you got some direction now on some things you can try? Okay. All right, cool. Brett says, I have a few questions. First one being simple. How to add social login button to Draftbit like Google or Apple, for example. That is a simple question, but not a simple answer right now, unfortunately. So, um, yeah, Rahul, you want to go or you want me to explain or what?
Uh,
It's
like,
it's really almost prohibitively difficult at this time. So, Um, yeah, there's no easy way, and we could not walk you through it. It's a pretty complicated process. I've tried to mess around with it some myself and was not able to get it working well. So, unfortunately, we don't have a good answer for that right now.
right. And just to let you know, Brett, like this is a feature that would be coming to DraftBit sooner. Like, because we are trying to develop that feature for our users. And you can say if there are three parts of this, we are done with part one. So there's just two parts remaining to solve this puzzle. And once we have that, we would be really happy to let everyone else know that you can do Google and Apple logins in your DraftBit app.
Well, the Expo module is what I used. I mean, that's Mohan, I guess. But back to the point of Steve's thing, we're also working on trying to automate that auth process where it's the, resetting the navigator and checking for an auth token and stuff like that. So hopefully we'll not too long from now, we'll have something where you don't have to even use any custom code for that. You'll just be able to set it up and it'll all kind of work automatically. So we'll keep you guys updated, but we are working on that. So sure, yeah. Let's let me.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Okay, so Brett
invite.
wants to join us there. Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be nice.
yeah. Let Brett come in and see what he's got. All right, we're waiting for Brett to connect.
Okay. I think we have another question about use effect from Mohan. Mohan, I think like let me finish this. Okay, so we can discuss use effect now till okay, it looks like Brett has is frozen on his end. Uh, so let me just try to go over use effect very quickly till Brett tries to join us. So use effect is more like a React. It's like a feature for React, right? So use effect. Uh, I'm trying to think of simpler ways to put it. So there are a few cases of use effect. I'll try to explain some of them. So if you want to do a task when your screen loads and you don't want to do that task again, you use a use effect, right? It's a hook. I would send you documentation for it, but we can also use this use effect, for instance, if a variable has changed and you want to do something whenever that variable changes, use effect will help you do that as well. There's a lot of use cases for use effect. I think we have some in the Draftbit app as well, in which like we run a use effect if your screen gets unfocused or your screen gets focused. So I don't know how well I could explain it, like live, but I think that's basically the use cases of use effect.
Yep. What do you mean by inline? Mohan is asking use effect versus inline. I'm not sure what you mean inline hook.
Oh, okay, that's a good question. So not too much to tell you. Like, so inline hook is not using use effect. So you're basically putting code directly on your screen. And so whenever your app will load, that code will run. And if you're using a use effect, that code will run when your screen loads. I don't know if that makes more sense or any sense. Oh,
All right, Brett. I think did we lose his video?
Can you hear me? I turned my video off.
Okay, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think you need to see the construction zone behind me. We're
Cool.
renovating the house. Okay.
So what's up?
Let me try to share my screen. Is there a special way to do that?
You should be able to hover over your video feed, and there's some icons at the top.
Doesn't look like it, no.
Hmm.
You want to try sharing once more with the video and everything? See if I can snag an option.
Let me try from my end here. I've got.
There we go.
Okay.
Now I have the option.
Okay.
All right. I just have to tell Firefox that it's okay. Sorry to everybody that's waiting.
All right.
All right, looks like it's trying to work. Any luck?
Yeah, there we go.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, great. All right, can you see my little Draftbit
Yep.
account? Okay, great. All right, so we'll skip the sign up piece. One thing I'm working on right now, so this is an event app. You can see over here in my components that over here I have a view, fetch, a list with an activity, a thumbnail where, it's an image and some icons and stuff like that. I can't see what I built. I'm sure that has to do with how it's, fetch and a list and stuff like that. But is there a way where I can see what I created?
Yeah. Go ahead, Rahul.
Oh, okay. So can you see that list on the web preview? So when you do a web preview, are you able to see that screen? Okay. I was just saying you can just tap that web preview inside the design icon itself. But
Okay.
Yeah, the little globe. Yeah.
I see.
Right up here. To the right of your, you almost.
Oh, I see it. I see it.
Yeah, right there.
I'm just checking to see if there are cores issues that's preventing that. Otherwise, it would be an auth token that has expired and it's not letting you show pull information from your.
So I actually haven't linked it to anything yet.
Oh, you haven't had it linked to anything yet. So then it wouldn't show anything, right? Because it doesn't have anything to fetch from.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
How do you have that fetch set up, or is it just not even set up at all?
Nothing. I created the database in Xano, and now I'm kind of just wireframing this here, and then I'm going to connect them. I don't yet know how to connect them. That'll be what I try to do soon once I kind of like what I wireframed and everything.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, if you need some example data to populate this list while you just like stub out your UI, you can go to example-data.draftbit.com, and there's a bunch of different endpoints that you can set up in here, and then just to have something, if you don't already have some data in your backend, you can go ahead and set up that fetch to at least populate your list and kind of get a visual representation of your list.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. All right. I figured it was just that. So another piece is, it looks like we're frozen out. So let me just
your audio is kind of really weird for me.
Oh, that's odd.
Yeah, there's some static there, Brett, in your mic.
All right. Sorry about that. Well, it looks like Draftbit, the website's a little
it might be your internet connection if you're,
I'm just gonna get right back in there. Just takes a second. My next question is gonna be if you guys can hear me all right.
It's kind of bad, to tell you the truth.
All right, I'm going to try one thing. I'm so sorry to you guys and those on the call. And if this doesn't work shortly, I'll try to schedule a one-on-one or something.
I think Brett, till yes, it got better for me.
Audio. Okay, great.
Yeah, way better.
Great. It looks like Draftbit's a no-go. Let me try. I can't get this running in a second. I don't want to hold anyone up. I'm brand new to Apples, so this is confusing to me.
That's okay. That's all right. Don't worry about it. No worries. But
I don't
Brett,
even
you finally
know.
got a chance to buy Apple now, yeah? Because I remember last time when we were talking, you were using a Windows PC, and that was fun.
Yeah, this is sad. I don't even know how to open a browser, like a Firefox browser. It's driving me nuts here. Here we go, new window. All right, we'll try Draftbit from here. Yeah, it's funny. I got the Apple to help speed up. Oh, here we go, a lot better. Development, and then you guys do the one-click publish. Okay, so here we go. All right, so what I've done, I have this view activity thing as just an example of what things would look like, events and activities that people create, just a kind of a fun example of rocket ship to the moon, right? Actually, you know what? So I want to have a create activity. I'm assuming that they do have to be separate screens. Is that right? When somebody is actually going to create their event or activity, and this will be the display page, I should have a separate create one. Is that right?
You don't have to, but typically that would be the way, especially on a small screen, not trying to shove too much, and also to make your life easier, not trying to make a screen do too much.
Yeah.
So yeah, typically you would have, typically you would have an index screen that shows like all the events, and then you would have a detail screen that shows the details of the event, and you would have a create new screen that from your index to create a new event or whatever you're creating. So
okay, I just wanted to make sure I was going down that right.
Definitely, yeah.
Adding a component to that one, we'd be looking at like a text input, I guess.
Yep.
Okay. Sorry, these are really basic questions. I'm really just getting started here.
Those are our favorite ones. Are you kidding? Like Rahul's ready for some simple questions.
Yeah. So
awesome.
I'm sorry. Just I would like to state a few things here. Is like we try to do things in the builder here during office hours. Like if you have problems with custom code, we usually try to point you to the custom code community that we have, just because this is like a platform where we want to serve broader, like to more of our users who are using the builder. So like, yeah, your use case is just perfect here, right? So a lot of users would learn from this. So yeah, please go ahead and move on, and we would love to help you.
All right, great. Well, in that case, I think I just have this one more screen to quickly go through. Is added a date picker, and then this kind of just undefined picker, right? It's going to be a location picker. I can't figure out how to change the styles here. I just want it to look like kind of like a little drop down where you can just click the little drop down.
Well, depending
actually,
on
you know what, maybe not a drop down, but like a little box, smaller box where you could click an action to edit it, maybe like a little pencil. Yeah, that'll work, something like that. I just couldn't figure out how to change the styles here because I do want to make some space to then add an icon for like a filter.
I have let me see if I can pull it up. I did a tutorial on how to create a custom styled input, and I will drop it in.
Heck yeah. All right. Thank you. And while you're looking that up, I guess, Rahul, just to keep things moving. Also, wasn't sure how to style the search bar here. I tried the Draftbit component search, and it was just like this very basic. There was no outline around it. I couldn't figure that out, so I just
Okay.
created a new text input, and I just called it
Right.
from search bar.
Mhm.
Yeah, but I just want to make sure that there is actually a border that people can see, like a defined border rather than just a grayed out one.
Right. So I think this you can do with the borders in the layout section itself. So if you go down, it would give you an option of borders here, right? So
Oh,
you
Yep.
can.
all right, so that's obvious. No, I don't even know how to add like another custom color. Like I like to use hex codes.
Up on the top, to the left of the design tab at the very top there. Yeah, to the left one more. Right there, that is all your custom colors. So you can add them there, give them a name. You can enter the hex value or RGBA.
Sure. Okay, so that's where you got to do it.
Yep.
Okay, good to know. All right, so you said you were throwing in the chat a link to how to style these pickers.
Yeah, I think that'll give you a good tip or a good head start anyway. So you can always reach out in the community if you need more or ask a question on that post, and I'll get back to you. So.
Okay, great.
One more thing I would like to add here, Brett. Like this picker would look different on different devices. So if you look on the Apple preview, this would look different than what it is looking now. Because you're right now, this is just the web preview of it, right? So if you try to go to the different apps, you would see that the picker looks different because it uses the native library of the device you're using.
I see. Is there a way to at least define its size? I just want to make sure.
You can style the way that looks, that input looks right there. But as far as like when you click it, that right there, what you see in the actual picker, it's going to be different depending on if you're on iOS or Android or web. So,
No,
but
that is
actually,
perfectly fine.
okay, but styling that February, that date input, you should be able to use the styles here in the style panel to adjust the padding, to adjust the text color, the border radius. Padding will give you space inside an object, and margin will give you space outside an object. So margin keeps things away from each other, and padding adds space inside of a container.
Right. Okay. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I guess while we're at it, one last thing is, and I think I've seen this before, but I don't know if you guys made it any easier, which is if someone wants to, they see this event, rocket ship to the moon, they're like, you know what, I want to do that, add that to my bucket list. They click the little heart.
Mm-hmm.
To make this go, red, is this one where you have to do like a visible, like a hidden and a none, and you got to put another one there?
I don't think anymore. Not with the new checkbox. Now that right, Rahul, with the new checkbox, you don't have to have two of them. You can because the checkbox has a state for each. Has like basically an on state and an off state. So you can set a different icon depending on the state. And so obviously that's going to require, like, when you push that button, it's going to make an API request to update the record, and then you can basically set the state of that checkbox after you either are basically it's a Boolean, so you're toggling a favorite, which would be like true or false kind of thing.
Okay. Is there a resource I can check that out? Should I just look for checkbox?
I'll pull something up. Hold on.
That was quick thinking, Dave.
Yeah.
Good job. Yeah, like we just had that component that does exactly what Dave just said, so you don't have to do the conditional display of an
That's
empty
great.
heart and a filled heart.
Love it.
All right, cool, man. Well, does that help you out? I hope that got you started.
Yeah,
Never
big time.
questions. So anytime you got a question.
Thank you.
All right, man.
Thanks so much. You can kick me off.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Okay.
So I noticed one more thing in the chat here. Mohan mentioned that use React Native to. Okay, no, that was a different one. So yeah, so the previous code shared did not resolve the inline navigation route reset. Um, it's tough to say without looking at the code, Mohan,
Yeah.
uh, but you would have to put the route that is in your app, not the code that we shared. So if it, or you cannot click the link we shared.
Which link? Oh, the builder link. He might be talking about my Laravel. That you shared.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, right. Yeah, so sorry, Mohan, you won't be able to see that. That's only like for Draftbit members can see those links. Uh, but as I said, like I have a few things to show about how things we can do without code in the builder. Once we get through those questions and that demonstrations, we can come back and help you out with this, right? And if great, and like you can always book a support call with us, and we can help you there as well. I think we have another question.
Yep. So, okay. I guess let me, we've got two here. One is from Mohan. If you guys don't have another question to handle, I don't mind coming on to show you some. Okay, we'll hold on to that for a second. Let's get to Coco. Hi, I asked this question in the community already regarding refresh button. I would like to create a refresh button in the app to refetch from my backend plus update the existing data. Any pointers as to how this is typically done? Should I put a touchable component and add an API request? So, Rahul and I both have a solution to this, different solution. So we can show both of them. And I guess, Rahul, since I can't share my screen, I'll share my app and you can go ahead and do yours if you want.
Sure. Let's do. Yeah, like I don't mind going first, or if you want to do that.
Here's mine.
Sure. Oh, perfect. So I'll share my screen and we'll go over Dave's way of doing it. And I'm actually excited to look at it because I haven't seen it before. Uh, there we go. I hope everyone can see the screen. I'll increase the size a little bit for everyone else's convenience.
Okay, so I'll give a rundown. First of all, there is a global variable, device variable named messages, and it's just an empty array. Okay, so that's step one. And then if you'll go to the fetch, and then we're on the fetch screen. Well, no, go down to just the fetch component on that
Oh,
fetch
gotcha.
screen. I have it done two ways, one with the fetch and one with screen data, but we'll do the fetch. So the fetch here is just grabbing some sneakers from our database, our example database, and then in the interactions tab, Rahul. So
Hmm.
when that on the on data event, I'm just setting that messages device variable to the top level response, so that now as soon as the fetch grabs our data from the API, it sets it to the messages variable. All right, and then okay, so this is kind of confusing because I'm not doing it myself. Sorry, but list then. Okay, so you can see here, I'm populating the list by using a function. Okay, so I'm not passing. If you'll notice, my list isn't even under that fetch. It's just sitting there up at the top. So I created a populate list function, And Rahul, if you want to open up that function.
Definitely. And this is very interesting. I never thought this could happen.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So all we do is we return our messages array, and that's it. So we're just basically saying, give me those messages that we loaded up from the fetch and return it to the list. All right. So then I've got, see the top icon button, Rahul?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or no, in the components panel.
Right.
Okay. So that one, when you click that, all it does is just add a new record. So if you'll go to the interactions
Right.
tab for that.
Yep.
Your connection's a little slow, I think.
Oh, sorry about that.
It's okay.
So you're making an API request?
Yes, this is just as a demonstration, so we can add a new record. So you'll have to like
Gotcha.
update the ID to something else, like some random string or whatever.
Got it.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, so let's go ahead and show the other icon button too, so people know what's going to happen. If you can go to the other icon button, the refresh button. Okay,
Yep.
so you can see here when I refresh, I've got I'm making the same API request. It's the exact same request as that fetch that we did earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'm assigning that a new name, and then which is refresh data, and then I just pass that to another function, which is refresh list, and then I pass that new list to the refresh list function. So can we see that function?
Yes. Whoa.
Oh, that's weird.
I haven't seen this before. Oh, it may be because of me. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
I'm sorry if people can't see that anymore, but that was because my screen was zoomed in.
Yeah. So, but all this does is it just sets that messages global variable to the new data. So all we're doing is on that, when we click that button, we're refetching that same list. We're passing that new list into this function, and then we're assigning the new list to that messages global variable. So hopefully all that makes sense. And then if you want to demonstrate, you can click that add button and then hit the refresh button, and we should see a refresh.
Try it again.
You might need to every time you try you have to update that ID every time, otherwise it won't add a new record. So you can go back to that add button and update the ID to add a new record.
Gotcha. So the last one I added here, it's showing up right here, 17890.
Right.
And once I add, it was in this icon, right?
Yep.
And then I can update this number to 2222 to this. So right now, if you notice, nothing has been added here yet. Am I correct,
Right.
Dave?
Yes. But when you hit the refresh, you should see it pop up.
Now I hit the refresh and think. I didn't add. Did I hit the add button?
I'm not sure.
I might have to hit.
All those Air Jordans right there are my tests, so I know this works because I did it all last night. So.
Yeah, no, it's working right now.
Okay.
It's working right now. So I'll try to do it again. So basically, what I didn't do was I didn't hit the add button. So let me change the ID again, make it 1111, just so that it's different. And I'll hit the add button to add that. Now that's been added to my backend. And now when I hit refresh, you can see this ID coming right here. 1111, 2001, Air Jordan. Nice shoes.
Yep. So Coco, if you're there, does that help answer your question? I can also drop maybe do a little tutorial for you as well if you need to.
Yeah.
You need it.
I think I have another way here, Dave, that I can
Okay.
show that.
Okay.
By the way, first of all, I think this has a lot of use cases that people are not thinking about yet, but I am already, so that's an amazing idea. And I have something similar to do, and I was just trying to make it prettier, but you never get a chance to do that, so I'll remove that. Similar use cases as what Dave was doing. I have an API, example data API, that fetches a list of that just does a fetch from our example data. And one thing that I'm adding here
It's a
is
bit
because you
hard.
can
Can you
add.
zoom in? Sorry, Rahul. Can you zoom in just a bit?
Sure. So I'll try to zoom in and out, keep zooming in and out so everything remains good. Sorry. So in this use case, basically, Coco, you can have your your path here, and this list, this thing that I'm just adding, the add data equals test. This could be anything. You can have maybe say Draftbit here. So this thing is not affecting my API call, right? So you can add any garbage value here, anything, for example. And just to show that, what I'll do is I'll just remove this first and test it here. You can see I get these values back. That's just the normal API call, right? And then when I add this back in again and maybe test, just give a dummy value to test. And when I hit test again, it doesn't make any difference to my API call, right? So nothing changes, the same as what it was last time. And that is that's what you have to do in your API, just that one additional query, which could be anything. So that's just one. And now I have a button a button. That would be a refresh button. And what that button basically does is I have a global variable uh, test. It could be anything. It could be a number or a string, anything you like. Um, a number helps because of the use case that I'm using here. So on my button, what I'm doing is I am adding 1 to the number. So it's 1. So every time I press a number, it will be 2, 3, and so on. So that's basically it. And now, just to showcase that, every time I will hit refresh, your API endpoint changes, which forces us to refetch your data.
Yep. It's clever. You're basically tricking it into updating
Exactly.
the data. Yep.
Exactly. It's not doing anything. Like it's not gonna, interfere with your data or do anything. It's just as simple as having one query parameter that you keep changing, and every time that parameter changes, it forces the screen to refresh.
Right.
Um,
So
so I hope
hopefully,
that. Sorry, go ahead. I stopped.
no, go Rahul. Go ahead.
Right. So Coco, as you said, force triggering. Yeah, exactly. Forcing the API to refresh just because one variable changed.
Right. So you've got two different ways to do it. Mine's a little bit more complicated, and Rahul's is a little simpler, I guess, maybe to set up. So whatever you like.
Yeah, like I think this was mentioned before on the community as well, so I won't take credit for this idea. And uh, thanks for introducing your idea as well, Dave, because I think I already have some use cases in my head that I'm gonna use that on. So
Yeah,
cool.
it's pretty helpful for doing other stuff too. Yeah. Okay, so Mohan said if you guys have some time, he wants to come on and small example of custom component fetch on data, and the error I was getting, we did go over, but it might be more instructive since what do you think, Rahul? You want to spend a couple minutes, or is this better for community answer, or what?
Like we can give it a try, Mohan. Like we have 5 minutes left. We'll try to, come up with a resolution for you right away. And if you aren't, then we can obviously take it on to the community as well. So we would invite you over, and then you can share your screen, and you will have uh, Dave and me helping you out here. And let's see if we can get a resolution for you.
Yep. Okay, so we're waiting on him to connect.
Hi guys.
Right. Hey,
Thanks.
how are you?
Good.
Hey, Mohan.
Hey, let me just. How do I share the screen on this?
You
So
should
you
be
take your
able.
mouse over.
Share screen. Yeah, I see that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this is the. So I fetch data on the back end. Thanks. Okay, maybe I should. Okay, let me just not show you the live situation. Let me just show you the code. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep. I'm just trying to figure out why it's showing me this. Okay, so I fetched X.
If you go to the web preview, okay, in your case, it won't
Yeah,
work in
yeah,
web preview.
I wanted to quickly show you the code so that
Mhm.
you can see the logic here. But code components, why it's showing me this? Okay, let me go to fetch. Okay, so I pull data in from the back end, and then I extract the data into a variable, and
Okay.
then I assign a global. So this is basically getting a list of countries and then basically searching for the your country from the list, essentially. So I set the global country list. Then I run another function which basically formats it for the drop-down menu, searchable drop-down menu. All it does is it takes a couple of pieces of the data from the fetch list and organizes it into an ID/name. And then I set another global variable, searchable list, and that's it. And then I go on to a custom code. And in the custom code, in the custom code, I basically, let me show you where the custom code is. So the custom code, I call the custom code and I pass it the global variable searchable list. Okay. Then in the custom code, I'm using expose searchable dropdown, and there I just call that portion of the code which draws the searchable component, and to that it basically takes the drop down list as the item. So Rahul actually pointed out how to pass variables down, like particularly global variables, I guess, or any variable for the matter. So so I took the variable and then I shoved it into the input, and then whenever an item is selected, then I set the global variable with the selected item. That's it, right? But what happens is when I actually render this, and I guess maybe I shouldn't. I should set the preview children. I think that's why I was getting that error. I guess we're just past our time.
That's okay. No worries.
Yeah, I mean, I can show you this, and then I plan on posting this to the snippets, because I think it's pretty useful to have this option for searchable menu. So if I click on this, I don't know why I'm not getting. This is what I get. So I sometimes I get the actual search list showing up there, and and I can search for the item, and boom, it works. And then the next iteration, or it'll just show this undefined. And what I try to do was, and it doesn't really make much sense, is set a conditional on custom code saying that if for example, um, this searchable list does not exist. If it exists, then display the custom code. So because so you see this. So here, if I I can click here, it changes all that. If I try to search, which it was working last night, I don't know what happened right now. It crashes. So I try to type Andorra, and it crashes, and it gives me this error. And I'm just trying to figure out what exactly is happening here, because I did set the conditional, and so technically should not be going in, unless of course this is like you were showing for the props navigation, where you check the variable and then you check to see whether it was a single quote, or if it was it was a string, or if it was null. Is it one of those situations? I just don't know what's going on here. So that's what I wanted to show you. If you guys think this is something we can discuss offline, we can do that. I just wanted to show two things here: the fact that this custom code is interesting, the use case, which I think is picking country list. You can use it for anything you want, and I liked it more so than trying to use the pivot. Um, Not the pivot. What's it called? The picker and the text box. I didn't like that combo so much as I like this metaphor. So I just wanted to show that.
Okay.
Well, thanks for bringing it up, Mohan. Like, looks like an interesting use case. How did you do troubleshooting on the live stream? Because like I would have to look into your code
Yeah, yeah.
to specifically find out what's happening. But it's a pretty neat use case. I think users would benefit from it.
Yep.
Uh,
And once we work it out, my goal is to post this. This is obviously a blank example. I'm using this in the live code, but I separated it out. I tested it out as a separate blank screen just to make sure it works. Once it works, I actually want to post in code snippets and sort of say, okay, if you're doing these, make sure you put these checks and balances in place so it works.
That would be great.
Yeah. That's it, guys.
Okay, thanks. So, Rahul, what do you think about? I don't know. I think one of us is going to have to jump in and take a closer look at that app. He's got a lot of moving parts that could be affecting what's going on. So,
yeah, that's definitely true. Because again, thanks for bringing it up, Mohan. Like what we try to do with custom code is like we can try a little bit to help users, but what we expect our users to do is like try to help each other out. So if anyone else has a better solution for Mohan, please feel free to share it on the community. We are also kind of in the process of launching experts, in which you guys can hire someone, like a list of experts that we will provide that can help you build a certain function in your app. So Mohan's use case is basically perfect for that, right? So Mohan, like you can hire an expert, and like he would definitely build it for you. And we have some different features there. Like you can either hire an expert to build your application, you can hire an expert to teach you while building your application, or you can hire an expert just to have one part of your application built for you. And the reason we are doing this is we don't want to take the pain away from our users who sometimes don't have the right background to delve into code that much. So just want to make things in life easier for everyone. And we'll get you more information, and you can always ask us if you want to hire an expert.
Coco's asking, what's the starting price to hire an expert? I have no idea, honestly. But if you'll reach out to us in intercom or whatever, we can find out and we will let you know. So, before we go though, Rahul, do you want to, since I can't share my screen, do you want to show people inline text editing coming up, or demo the Google fonts or something? I don't know.
Sure, like if you
Unless
have
you
a
got
few
somewhere to
minutes.
be.
Well, it's not. This is the best place I want to be, anyways. So I'm happy to like spend as much time with our users as we can. Let me share my screen again, and hopefully I would be able to do those things. This is the first time I'm doing the inline text editing, to tell you frankly, and I'm looking
And
forward to
it's
it.
still yeah, it's almost there, but it's had a couple of like little hiccups that we're trying to get some edge case stuff wrapped up, but it's almost ready. I think I need to do one round of testing. Hopefully it'll be good to go. But
So I
so
think if
just
I
go ahead, Rahul.
no, please, you can like guide me, and I'll keep
Sure,
doing
sure.
what you asked me to do.
Yeah, just drop a text component in. I mean, so to give you guys an idea, if you've ever tried to double click on a text component before, you probably saw the little pop-up that would display and get stuck, and it wouldn't close and all that stuff. So Donald has been working on putting this together. So basically you just double click any component that has an input text field, you can now double click on that text directly in the builder rather than going to the panel. And then not only can you do that, but you can double click and use variable syntax inside there
Oh wow,
as
we can do
well.
that.
You can, yeah. Switch back
That's
over
sweet.
to the data tab so people can see it update. Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
there we go.
Yeah, so if you'll
So if I do here,
there,
double click,
yep.
move this back. I want to map it to a variable.
And you tab away. If you hit
Oh,
enter, you'll
tab.
get a new line, but if you tab, yeah. So there you go. So you
Oh,
can see it replaced it with the variable, and then there you go. So pretty cool.
that's awesome.
It is very
Like now
cool.
I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, now I don't have to like keep going here. I can just do this
That's
and
right.
edit
Yep.
it.
Yep.
That's amazing, Dave, and great job, Donald.
Yeah.
Amazing. And I think the other thing that we wanted to showcase was the Google fonts, and
Mm-hmm.
very excited to present those because I am like design challenged. I don't know if that makes sense. Like Dave is like amazing at coming up with amazing designs, and like all the announcements we see is like an amazing work done by Dave. So
Thank you, Rahul.
do you want me to pick up anything for you here? Like, do you have a
I
preference
mean,
of a?
you can search. Basically, you can search from this for any Google font. So Pacifico is or Sacramento.
Oh,
The list only
Snap.
shows like I think it only shows maybe the most popular ones, like the top 50. But there's tons of Google fonts. So if you don't see what you want in the list, just go to Google Fonts directory, fonts.google.com, find one you like, type it in, or you can search directly in the font picker.
And we have so many custom things that we can do to this.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Lots of added weights. And there's actually some other like effects and stuff that Google Fonts offers that we don't have set up yet, but we would like to eventually have stuff like being able to make the text glow or do other kinds of cool effects. So that would be awesome to have.
That's pretty neat. And
Yeah.
if someone in the chat knows a fancy font that you want to see on the screen, they can always
Check out
write it
Sacramento
down.
or Pacifico. I think
Okay,
Pacifico is kind of like stylish.
there we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
And it
Nice.
works with the inline editing. So if you double tap to edit that, it'll still, yes, glowing text. I agree. That would be awesome.
This looks
Awesome.
like cursive,
Yeah.
and I could never write that good. Just saying.
Thank you, technology.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I guess that's it for today. I hope we covered everything it looks like, and hope everybody had a good time. And I guess we will catch you guys next time. So thanks for joining us.
Yep. See you, everyone.